In today's gospel, we see the goodness of Jesus' good works, casting out demons, the blind seeing and other miracles, the mute now speaking, the deaf hearing, the lame walking, etc. He had a compassionate heart for those who had ailments, spiritual and physical. Today we honor the death day of our Holy Father and founder, Father Jean-Baptiste Rauzan, the father, capital F, of this community. I want to share a little bit of our history brochure about the early founding of our community, because it shows that Father Rauzan had also a loving father's heart for those who were in the midst of ailments, if you will, in the immediate aftermath of the French Revolution, which blew absolute havoc and destruction to the Catholic Church in France. I said during the opening rites of the Mass that we celebrate today the 176th anniversary of his death. Keep in mind that he founded the Fathers of Mercy 215 years ago. And here we are still existing today, over 2 centuries later, with new members, Novice Ray and Novice Joshua, and we thank God for that. So I was told recently by a priest, a diocesan priest whom I served, he says, the pre-winds of the revolutionary France are not different from the pre-winds of war today with the culture. He says there's a lot of similarities, and he's right. For example, there seems to be a lot of revolutionary / social things going on right now against the dignity of the human person. Okay? Socialist tendencies, dare I say, communist tendencies. And so we keep all these things in mind as we look at the similarities of revolutionary France at that time and our time today, 23 years into the third millennium. Our history brochure reads these words: a holy priest responds to the call of God. Aware of the disastrous effects of the French Revolution on the faith of the people, Father Jean-Baptiste Rauzan, at the invitation of Cardinal Fesch of Lyon, brought together a small group of preaching priests to form a missionary preaching band. After the great upheaval and persecution which the Church suffered in France during the French Revolution, both the clergy and the laity sought from heaven extraordinary ways to foster the salvation of souls, for most of the people had left the one holy Catholic and Apostolic faith. One of the many options suggested to revitalize post-revolutionary France and to re-evangelize those who had fallen away from the preaching from the Church was the preaching of parish missions. A group of missionaries which would be at the service of the bishops was needed to fulfill this task. God, in his goodness and mercy, raised up Father Jean-Baptiste Rauzan of the Diocese of Bordeaux to be his chosen apostle to the people of France. In 1808, the Archbishop of Lyon, Joseph Cardinal Fesch, asked Father Rauzan to gather a group of zealous preaching priests known for their preaching to take up the awesome task of re-evangelizing a devastated France. Father Rauzan's thirst for souls led him to accept and form men into a community of priests that came to be called the Missionaries of France. He began with 5 priests who traveled from town to town preaching parish missions. Upon entering a town, some would even go door to door, personally inviting people back to the church. Though their initial response was often one of reluctance, mostly out of fear, the townspeople were soon so moved by the impassioned preaching of the missionaries of France that their faith was soon restored. As a result, the missionaries of France acted as God's instruments in reversing many of the revolution's evil effects. In 1814, the Generalate for the community was established in Paris, where the fathers were placed in charge of several parishes. Thus, parochial work was added to the community's task of preaching parish missions, a work that has continued to this present day. In 1834, Pope Gregory XVI approved Father Rauzan's work and gave the community the name the Priests of Mercy, placing it under the patronage of the Immaculate Conception. Pope Gregory, in approving the Society's constitution, said at the time, "We most earnestly desire that there be formed among the clergy men joined in a society and aflame with the love for the divine glory and zeal for the salvation of souls. We desire to show such ecclesiastical men a singular mark of our favor, especially in these times so difficult for Christianity and society together." Difficult times for Christianity and society together. One of our deceased confreres, Father Daniel Sheehan, many of you knew who he was, knew him personally. He would frequently say at table, "Human nature is cyclical. Human nature is cyclical. Human nature is cyclical." We get over one type of thing, and it takes a while, but we come back to it again, both the good and the evil. And so we thank God for Father Jean-Baptiste Rauzan, our founder. We thank him for founding the Fathers of Mercy along with Cardinal Fesch of Lyon. And we as Fathers of Mercy ask you for your regular prayers for us as we continue to go out and preach parish missions and continue to staff parishes. God bless you.